Philippe Roger here, co-owner of Pro Play Games. Here at PPG, we're constantly doing stuff to try to bring you more content and bring you more DBS deck techs and more coverage for you. And we're happy to announce our affiliation with dbsdecks.com. DBS Decks, the guys over there, Mark specifically, are working very hard to compile a list of all the top decks from all of the events across the nation. And there you could see even cards played on a percentage base within the archetype. So it's a great website. We encourage you to go and use that. So go ahead and check it out, dbs-decks.com, and check out Pro Play Games for all your DBS needs. Stay pro.
What's up, guys? We are live here with David Rodriguez, a sponsored PPG player, third place at the first ever Dragon Ball Super Regional. He hasn't, unfortunately, been able to make it out to any other events. He's a very busy man, pursuing a very worthy degree, a very notable degree, a very honorable degree. So totally respect that on your end, and best of luck with that. I hope that's all going well, and we really can't wait to see you at another event. But
hopefully San Jose.
Hopefully San Jose. So what we brought you in here today is to ask you a little bit, what do you think about the current state of the game and Frieza itself? Because I see you're playing a deck that is, you know, obviously reliant on this leader, and you see a lot of other, even your opponent Justin, abusing abusing the leader a little bit more than you are, but still, your deck, your energy source is this Mecha Frieza. So what do you have to say about this deck and like any of the matches that you had?
Definitely, okay, it's a problem. At first I was kind of thinking like, oh, people are just complaining the usual, but then I saw, and I wasn't really worried too much about the red OTK, because OTKs and FTKs suffer from the issue of your own deck is your worst enemy, not so much the matchup. So my cousin Alejandro Mena, who's also a player here, he's the one that made the green one, and I'm like, oh, this is very mid-range, this is a little bit better. And you do abuse the leader to essentially put a board state that just becomes like constant removal over and over, because you do the whole Kaba, Caulifla, Kale over off Shugesh, so you don't just have like the Kid Ku Shugesh, you have the Kale as well, and it's a problem. Not only is Mecha Frieza a problem, Shugesh and Kid Goku are an immense problem. We're talking about where if I see your leader isn't yellow and you shock at me, you lose pretty much the game. So it's definitely a big problem. I feel like if Mecha Frieza was made once per turn, some people are saying like, oh, it has to be only yellow, and I feel like that's a huge hit. Once per turn would make it play similar to how Vegeta used to play. Where Vegeta, if you didn't swing at him, the guy was only taking one at a time. So yes, Vegeta was getting an advantage, but we're 3 sets in, leaders can ping themselves. It's not just like, oh, it's just Vegeta, Vegeta's a problem. So I feel like if Bandai were to maybe slow it down a little bit, I don't think outright ban. Like, I'm not a big fan of erratas because I feel like it's like, oh, look, we made a mistake. And an errata is meant for like, oh, there's a text error, there's like, you know, a playing error. This is more like, oh, we made something that's stupid and we need to calm it down. So I definitely think it should be slowed down. These decks are ridiculously abusive. I think the red one has a higher ceiling where like, if you know what you're doing, I think it's a harder to play deck. First of all, you can just crush your opponent outright. Like, if they do survive, they have 1 card, you have like 2 life, and you still have all the mecha advantage from the spells. So it's really hard to beat. So definitely something has to be done. What? I'm not sure, because I don't really know. I've heard about how Bandai's been with erratas before, but I don't know what they have in store for Mecha Frieza.
Yeah, so Mecha Frieza, obviously a huge hit, and we were talking about even once per turn, it is a very powerful effect.
Yeah.
And it's an effect that only gets better as sets come out and more events get printed and more events get played. So we're thinking maybe just outright banning the card. It's just something that's very powerful. And now you've played about 4 rounds with your deck against arguably some of the most talented players in the world.
For sure.
Because we do have all the regional championships here, regional champions here in Florida. Now, what do you think was the MVP of your deck?
It's going to sound redundant because I think this has been kind of said before, but it has to be the Kaba or the Kale, more like the combination, but definitely say the Kale, because Kale's been a great card, you know, with the Star Goku, the green Mecha Frieza, and the fact that I can play off Shugesh and now not only like kill your board, because 5 cost is pretty good, because if they're playing the small cards like the little 3-drop crit Goku, you can wipe him and 2 other small Gokus and just completely wipe the board. And then Kale does this thing where I can afford to go for weird lethal where I lower my hand, swing with Kale, and start recuperating my cards while you get rid of everything, so I don't have to like hit a full all-in, which is I think the big turning point between green and red is there's more of a middle ground where, yes, I did have to like pretty much like go on a prayer against Justin round 1, because if he had the Shugesh Kid Goku, I lost, but I had no other play. It was one of those positions where I just had to go. But for the most part, like against any other deck, especially not yellow, you can determine the entire pace of the game. You really just check how things go, because you can never swing at the face and just swing with Kales only, and by the time they've awakened, have 5 cards, and it's really hard to beat 2 or 3 Kales, you know, a Caulifla and a Kaba. It's just too much. But definitely I'd say Kale for sure. She's just a great card, only gets better.
And touching on that, the Shigesh, you've been playing against Shigesh and with Shigesh all these rounds, and you're playing the combo with Shigesh and Explosive Spirit Son Goku. We saw it on stream round 1 where the opponent didn't know, like wasn't aware of the combo. He thought that actually killing the tapped battle card, the attacking battle card would end the battle. So it's just, what do you feel about that? Because obviously Mecha Frieza, we all know, is a problem and deserves a ban and or heavy errata. But about the Shigesh, what do you think about that? Like, even if Frieza gets pushed out,
I feel like Shigesh is still going to remain a very good card because you're going to see leaders like a leader that people aren't playing as much because Mecha is quite quicker is the Galactic Frieza. It's a little bit slower, but if you do slow down Mecha Frieza, it'll be a great yellow leader because you can untap the Goku that awakens you, and that deck can perfectly fit Shigesh again. Planet Vegeta is a card that I think is very heavily reliant on the state of Mecha Frieza because playing it for a mana is nowhere near as enticing as playing it for free to draw 2 cards essentially. Especially, you get to pick one up and then take one so you can, determine what you want to get. So I think Shigesh, at some point they're going to have to deal with it because even though I did get matched against the starter coup and I felt the power of Piccolo when he was continuing to pick up cards, I still feel like it's just too big where like as long as I negate your leader, your means are not going to be the definitive end game.
Okay, cool. So very interesting. Is there any matchups in particular that you felt like were very difficult against the deck, or do you feel like you were just like a hot knife going through like butter and you're just like, so easy?
I will say that I've seen some aggro Vegetas, and they made this new Goku card. When you combo with it, it's a 10k that draws. It's a really scary card because aggro Vegeta's been a deck, and the thing is, Vegeta's strength has always been that he beats you, not his cards, and that's the biggest weakness. That's the reason why I side Champa, is because a lot of times they're in a Shugesh and Kid Goku your cards, but with Champa, I don't need a minion to beat you. I'll just beat you with the leader, which is the true strength of like the side deck. Like that's the thing about best of 3. It's so good because the intelligence behind the side deck really carries games. Like the reason why I wasn't afraid of the red matchup is because of the enraged Son Gohan awakening. It's ridiculous. You'll pay no mana, draw a card, and then be able to pick what you discard, and you kill it outright. Like they have to play it again and essentially have 2 more mana to do it again. It's just huge. So
awesome. Well, thank you so much again for your insight on this. We really do hope that Bandai does something about this Mecha Frieza deck. But otherwise, leading up to San Jose, if Mecha were to still be around, is this something that you would see yourself continuing to play forward? Or like you said the red version has a higher ceiling.
Yes.
Would you gravitate towards something like that if you had a little bit more practice? Because maybe it's not doing as well because people didn't have as much practice with it. Because like you said, it is a difficult deck to pilot. But what do you like, or do you think this deck is just like maybe its final version?
Overall, I think that there obviously could be refinements, especially with the overrun cards. Like me and Alejandro were debating the Mass Saiyan or not, but it's huge because it's another double striker you have in the deck. But the reason why I would stay with green over red is I think the sideboard against red is too strong. You have Mafuba, worst case, you have the enraged Son Gohan. You have so many outs to the Goku, and removing it sets them back too much. And by that point, the red deck pings itself much more. So they'll have 2 life where I have 3. So I know that if you bloodless my Shugesh, any card will beat you at that point. So it's huge. So I definitely think I'm going to stay towards green as long as they don't hit it. I think it keeps a good tempo where it's fast, but yet well-paced. I think the blue one is too slow, and the red one is a little bit too fast for my taste.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much again for your insight. I really do appreciate you having me out here. And you're strong 4-0. So all you got to do is win-win draw or win-loss draw. And I think you should be guaranteed for that top 16 slot. Over 100 players, some of the best in the world here. And Bandai is watching at home. So thank you guys so much again for watching. And I appreciate your time again.
No problem, man.
Good luck with the studies. Hope to see you in San Jose. We really want to see you top another event. And other than that, thank you so much for your time. And good luck, man.
No problem, man. Thank you.